On this week's episode of A Dryer Dose of Disney, Jared shares the best foods and places to eat at Hollywood Studios.
Welcome to another episode of A Dryer Dose of Disney. I'm your host, Jared Dryer, and today we are taking you to Hollywood Studios in Orlando, and we are going to be talking about the best places to eat and the best foods in the park. So this is episode number 7 of 11 in this series, where we are going park by park, talking about the best restaurants, the best foods, and the best snacks in every park. And we're going to do the same thing today at Hollywood Studios by giving you the top 5 restaurants, top 5 meals, and the top 5 snacks. But before we do that, I do want to ask, go ahead and pause for a second, click that subscribe button wherever you're at, click a like button, but definitely you want to click subscribe so that way every single week when we drop our episodes, that you're going to be getting that content delivered directly to you, whether you're listening to us through a podcast or out there on YouTube watching our video format. Click that subscribe button so that way you get linked to that automatically. And number 2, we always ask, hey, if there's a tip or trick or one of these tips on the restaurants or food that you got a chance to eat something that was really cool or save yourself some money, support us over at Patreon. That's down in the links as well. So whether you're watching us on YouTube or on a podcast, you can find that link at Patreon to support us there. And if you do support us, you do get early access to our Butterbeer episode and How to Go to Disney for Almost Free episode, which we have done twice and we have saved a ton of money doing. And I'm now working towards a 3rd attempt at doing it. It's really cool and a really good way to get your whole family down there to Orlando and do it for almost free and save yourself a ton of money. And with changing prices, it's always a good thing to be doing and focused on. We do want to thank our supporters and our subscribers out there. But for disclosures, our first disclosure is every single Disney park is going to have the same kind of basic things that a lot of the little kids are going to like. So hamburgers, hot dogs, pizza, chicken nuggets, and you can usually find mac and cheese at most places. Our goal is to skip most of those with the exception of some of the mac and cheeses because they do have some phenomenal ones out there. And actually, we've got a burger on the list today too, which we normally don't do. But we are going to skip those real basic ones as much as we can because we want to cover the unique things in every single park for you that your teens and your adults are absolutely going to love because you guys are the ones making the decision where to go eat. And you're going to find those other items usually anywhere you go. We're going to skip those. Second disclosure is we cannot eat everything. Though we go to the parks a lot and we do try to rotate where we're eating and what we're eating, it's physically impossible for us to try every single thing in the park. So please bear with us. These are the best things we've had or what have been recommendations for our friends that we have tried, and we've absolutely loved every one of them. If you have something that didn't make the list that you think should have made the list, find us over at Facebook, over at A Dryer Dose of Disney. And let us know, send us a message and say, hey, on this episode, you guys skipped this food item or this restaurant. We think this is the absolute best. And we will update these episodes regularly and we will hopefully include your recommendation on our next update. So again, we're only one family. We can't eat everything out at all the parks, but we are going to give you the best ones that are out there because we have researched it and we do make it a point to eat all the best things we can find out there. My last thing is you've heard me talk about Magic Kingdom, Disneyland out in California, and Epcot being really difficult because there were so many great foods and great places to eat. It was really tough to narrow down the list. And in fact, if you just listened to our Epcot episode, you know that I did like the top 7 restaurants, the top 11 food items, because it was really tough to find the top 5 for each one of these categories. But know that out of all the Disney parks, Hollywood Studios does have the fewest places to eat. And it does have the fewest meals that are out there. Now, doesn't mean that they're any less good because they're just as good, but this is a very different episode than those other ones just because this one was a lot easier because there's not a lot to pick from. So we're going to highlight today the top 5 restaurants, the top 5 meals or food items, and then the top 5 snacks in the park. And we hope you enjoy this and definitely encourage you to try these things out. But diving right into it, we're going to go first with the top 5 restaurants. And if you've listened to our other episodes, you know that when we're looking at restaurants, we like to break it down into 3 different areas that we are going to be ranking them on: atmosphere, food quality, and price, because all 3 of those go into it. Now, if you've got a restaurant with a really cool atmosphere that has something like Space 220 where you're going up into space to eat, that's going to score really high right off the bat, but you're going to know that it's going to have a higher price. So we'll talk about each one of those as we go through it today. What is really interesting in today's list is none of our best foods are at the best restaurants. This is very unique for Hollywood Studios, and that's because the theming at some of our restaurants make it really cool and make it a really enjoyable place to go eat. But the best food that you can find, and I'm looking at my list right now, all of them are at quick service restaurants. So know that the best foods in the park, you don't have to make reservations to get them. You can just walk up to a counter, usually do a mobile order, and you're going to find the best foods in the park at Hollywood Studios without having to set a reservation. So really cool disclaimer right out of the gates as we get started. But starting with our top 5 restaurants, I actually did 6 today because I have an honorable mention. And it's ironic that I give you guys this honorable mention, and it's because it is a pizza place. And I told you guys at the beginning, we're not going to really talk about the pizzas, the hot dogs, the hamburgers, chicken nuggets. But this one does stand out compared to going to your other parks. And the honorable mention is Pizza Rizzo. And this is over in the Muppets area of the park. So back behind Star Tours, it's it's sandwiched between the 2 Star Wars areas. So if you know where Star Tours is and the huge AT-AT, it's back behind that as you're almost going to go through the tunnel. You have Muppet Vision 4D over there, and they've got 2 restaurants. They've got Mama Melrose and they've got Pizza Rizzo. And Pizza Rizzo is an honorable mention, though it does serve pizza, and we said that we wouldn't talk a lot about that. It is an honorable mention for multiple reasons. Number one is the food at Pizza Rizzo is a little bit different than what you're going to get at your pizza places at the other parks. This one has a little bit more selection down there. They also have salads. They've got a lot of great things on their menu. But what I love about Pizza Rizzo is you can do mobile ordering. It's a large restaurant. It has its own bathrooms in there. And it's a great place if you've been through a busy day to just go sit and relax for a little bit, enjoy a nice Italian meal that's quick service, and the food's pretty good. So I will say Pizza Rizzo gets an honorable mention today. It is not in our top 5, but do check it out if you're looking for something quick service. Which takes me to my number 5, which I just mentioned, and that is Mama Melrose. And Mama Melrose is a great Italian restaurant. It's right next to Pizza Rizzo, and they've got some great foods there. And in fact, we visited that on the 4th of July weekend with our family. When we were out there, we got some calamari, and I love calamari. That was fantastic. But a lot of their dishes are your traditional Italian fare, which means you're going to get your spaghetti and meatballs. You're going to have your fettuccine. You're going to have your lasagna. I think there's pizza on that menu as well, but we didn't order it if there is. But they have a lot of those typical Italian choices. The restaurant is very nice. It does take reservations if you're wanting to get a reservation. Mama Melrose typically is not the first place to fill up. It is a good restaurant. It is relaxing in there. It is a little bit of a darker atmosphere, meaning they have the lights turned down just a little bit lower. The windows all have the coverings on it, which is a little bit nice if you're trying to escape the heat. But at the end of the day, most people back home have some kind of Italian food that they enjoy there that they're used to. So if you do, I would say you could skip Mama Melrose. There's 4 other places on this list today that are going to have a better theming or a better menu and are going to be a lot of fun as well. But Mama Melrose isn't a bad place if you're looking to get a reservation and you may be late getting that reservation or you're trying to secure it last minute. Mama Melrose, you may be able to find it. And we do recommend it. The food there is fantastic. It did make number 5 on our list. So we really do enjoy Mama Melrose. Number 4 on my list is actually a really fun place to eat. And that is the 50s Primetime Cafe. And the 50s Primetime Cafe is really all about the atmosphere. Now, they do have some really good food there, but it's more about the atmosphere that you are set in a 1950s home and you are eating in a different room within that home. So they have seating within the kitchen or within the living room. A lot of the food is very TV dinner style because it's playing on that 1950s theme. And it's just a really fun place to go and eat. Now, if you heard us talk about over at Disneyland or Magic Kingdom, you get the Crystal Palace. People love that for the fried chicken. You do get very similar fried chicken over here at 50s Primetime Cafe. That did not make our top 5 meal list today. Like I said, our top 5 meals are all at quick service places. But 50s Primetime Cafe is a good place to go. It's a lot of fun, but it's all about that atmosphere. So if you have a family and you want to show them what a 1950s home is like, what TV dinners and dining like that was back then, the 50s Primetime Cafe is a great place to go and to stop into. We highly recommend that. Our next one is probably the number one reserved restaurant over at Hollywood Studios, and that's the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater. And again, this one is 100% about the theme in the restaurant. And that's because it is a drive-in movie theater where you are eating in the cars, unless you didn't have a reservation. If you don't have a reservation, you may be able to secure a walk-in space, but if you do get walk-in, they're going to sit you at the picnic patio tables out behind the cars, because this restaurant is designed like a drive-in movie theater. So you're sitting at the outdoor seats with the little umbrella over you. Now, it is all indoor, so don't worry about being out in the heat, but it's designed to be outdoors, if that makes sense. So you're going to be sitting at the picnic tables at the back, watching everyone else in the cars and watching what's on the movie screen. But it's a really cool atmosphere. It's an old drive-in movie theater. So you can eat in a car, which is a lot of fun, but then you get to watch these old black and white sci-fi movies up on the screen. And these are the kind that had the cheesy aliens back in the day with their little ray guns and no special effects. Or they would film a grasshopper and they would zoom way in on it and overlay it, make it look like it's walking through the city or something like that. So the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater is 100% about atmosphere. It's a really fun place. Because of that, the reservations do go very quickly. The food is mediocre. So it's very much that chicken nugget type of place. The food has some sandwiches and some hamburgers, stuff like that. It's really basic, but we do think the atmosphere is totally worth it. Now, as far as price goes, these first three that we talked about, Mama Melrose, 50s Primetime Cafe, and the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater are all priced very similar. They are your middle tier type restaurants where they're not going to break the bank. They're not Be Our Guest or something like that. That's going to cost you $70+ per person. But these are your middle of the road type of sit down restaurants that are going to cost you that middle of the road cost. So all three of them we recommend. I will say at the end of the day, you can't lose with any one of them. The food is decent at all three. Again, none of the meals make the top 5 list that we have today, but they all have really cool atmosphere. If you're able to secure a reservation at any of them, please do. Our number 2 place is actually not even a full restaurant, and that is Olga's Cantina. And this is back in the Black Spire Outpost at the Galaxy's Edge part of the park for Star Wars. And Olga's Cantina is playing on the cantina from the original Star Wars back in the 1970s, A New Hope, where if you remember, you had Obi-Wan Kenobi say, Mos Eisley Spaceport, you'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. And they really played on that, and they designed this cantina to be very similar to the one that you see in the original New Hope movie. And they've got really cool theming and a really cool atmosphere in this bar. But when you go in, they also have a ton of really cool, unique drinks. It is very obviously adult oriented because most of the drinks are alcoholic drinks. So we do want to set that out there and remind you that if you're going to go, you can take kids in there if you wanted to, but they're not going to enjoy it as much because they don't get to try everything. And it's set up as a bar. So Olga's Cantina, though, for the adults is a really fun experience. You can even do standby just because it is a bar. They are always taking people in and out, but it does help to get a reservation. So we definitely recommend that. And again, this one, we are just saying do it for the theming, just for the atmosphere. Since it's all drinks, obviously alcoholic beverages in the Disney parks cost somewhere in the teens per drink. So no, that's the price point you're getting in at, and you're not going to get food. So you're not going to leave feeling full or anything like that. So we do recommend, though, Olga's Cantina. It is a fun little place. So definitely go check that out. Which then takes us to our number 1 restaurant at Hollywood Studios, and that is the Hollywood Brown Derby. And the Hollywood Brown Derby is built around the golden age of cinema. So that 1930s, 1940s setup where they've got pictures on the wall of their famous actors and actresses that come to the restaurant. It is a traditional type steakhouse. So you're going to get that traditional filet mignon. You've got some pork chops. You've got those types of things on the menu there. It is all really good. Again, like I said, our top 5 meals in the park are all at quick service places. So nothing made the list here from the Hollywood Brown Derby. But this is your nice restaurant at the Hollywood Studio Park. This is also the most expensive restaurant at Hollywood Studios, where you're paying $60, $70 per person every time you're going to go to Hollywood Brown Derby. With that, I do recommend if you do want to go, do try to get a reservation. We'll talk about that in our I Can Do This All Day tip of the day at the end of the podcast today. But Hollywood Brown Derby, it's a fun place. It's a really cool nostalgic feel in there. The food is phenomenal. I would say definitely go check it out, but know that our top 5 meals are not over at the Hollywood Brown Derby. And it is a little bit more expensive, but it is the nicest restaurant in the park. So with that, let's jump into the top 5 food items of the top 5 meals that we've had over at Hollywood Studios. And again, all of these are done through quick service. So if you want to try them out, you can do it very quickly. Most of the places do allow for mobile ordering. And if you've listened to our other episodes, we've talked about mobile ordering being I can do this all day tip of the day, because not only is it going to save you time, you can order while you're in line, or maybe order while you're in a show over at Hollywood Studios, because they do have the Indiana Jones show. They do have Beauty and the Beast. They do have Frozen Sing-Along, Muppets 4D. There's a ton of things to watch over at Hollywood Studios. So you can do an order while you're in one of those. And then when you show up, of course, you just click I'm here and they'll make it for you. But we love mobile ordering because you're able to see the whole menu and you may find something you didn't know was there. And that's how we have found some of the best foods in the parks, is through mobile ordering. So highly encourage that. But our number 5 best food in the park is back in the Star Wars land again. And this is at Docking Bay number 7. And they have ribs. And if you know anything about me, I love smoking meats and I love ribs. And I can tell you these ribs are very good. They're very tender. They've got some great flavor to them. And when you think about the Disney parks, yes, you can get a turkey leg at most of them, but there's not a lot of barbecued or smoked meats, with the exception of Animal Kingdom has a great place that we'll talk about next week on our episode, as well as, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, there's a couple places you can get like pulled pork on stuff, but there's not a lot of barbecue that's out there. So the ribs at Docking Bay number 7 are really good. And it is also one of the only places you can actually get ribs at. Like I said, there's pulled pork and chicken at other places, but not a lot of ribs. So we definitely encourage you to go to Docking Bay number 7, try the ribs. They are really good, and you won't be sorry about doing that. Plus, it's got a cool atmosphere, even though it's quick service. Our second one, number 4 on our list, is, again, like I said, you can get some pulled pork. This is a smoked barbecue pulled pork burger, and this is at the Backlot Express. So in Hollywood Studios, again, over by Star Tours and the big AT-AT, and back over almost towards the Muppets, is a place called the Backlot Express. And this is a very large indoor restaurant that is quick service that you can go into. And they have a ton of different items on the menu there. They do have a smoked barbecue pulled pork burger, which is why it made the list, is it's not your traditional burger. It's got a second type of meat on there with barbecue sauce. It is really good. It is very savory. It is a great item to eat. And again, it's quick service, so you're going to be able to get in and out right away. This burger is about $15, if I remember off the top of my head, for how much it costs. Like the ribs, about the same price point. So it's not going to break the bank. If you wanted to, you could even order, because we've got another item here from the Backlot Express in a moment. You can order maybe a couple things, share them with other people in your party. And that way everybody gets a chance to try some of the best foods that are in the park. Our number 3 item on the list is actually something that we love here in Denver. And we do go to a couple places that serve this. And when we found it at Hollywood Studios, we were so excited. And they are just as good out in Hollywood Studios, if not even better. And those are the tachos over at Woody's Lunchbox. So now you're back in the Toy Story area. If you go back there, you've got the Slinky Dog Dash roller coaster, which is the highlight of that area. You've got a couple other rides, but right in the middle is Woody's Lunchbox. And there's really cool food items there, and some on our snack list we'll talk about in a moment. But they have tachos. And if you've never had tachos, basically it's nachos, but instead of using chips, they're using tater tots. So it's very savory. You're going to get some fried potatoes on there, covered, of course, with the chili and the cheese and all the other good toppings and ingredients on there. And tachos are a really great thing to share. If you're within a family, you can all grab a fork and everyone can just pick at it. There are tots over at Magic Kingdom, over at the Friar's Nook, that made our list over there as well. So we encourage you. Those kind of things are great to share. Share them with your family and enjoy them, and keep going through the park and try all the different foods. So we do love, though, the tachos over at Woody's Lunchbox. We definitely recommend those, so go pick those up. Our number 2 item, we're coming back to Backlot Express. Like I said a minute ago, there is a second item there that I love even more than the smoked barbecued pulled pork burger. And like I told you earlier, I love to smoke meats and I love all that kind of barbecue stuff. So to know that something beat that means it's really good. And that's the Cuban sandwich. I love a good Cuban sandwich. If you've not had a Cuban sandwich, it's going to come with cheese and some meats on there and mustard. And it just is so savory, and it's got an explosion of different flavors. and I absolutely love it. So the Cuban sandwich at the Backlot Express is a little bit better than the smoked barbecued pulled pork burger. That's why we recommend get both and share them, split it and share it with your partner or your spouse, or if one of your kids who's really hungry, because they're pretty good size. But the Cuban sandwich over at the Backlot Express is one of my favorite items at Hollywood Studios, and it's something that I look forward to every single time that I go over there. But I can tell you nothing compares to our number one on the list. And seriously, when I say that, numbers 2 through 5 are all really good. They're all things that I try to eat throughout the day. Our number one item is something I go for in the morning. And if you listen to our Disneyland episode, we talked about it there. But hands down, everyone I've ever given this item to, they say that this is the best food item that they've had in most of the Disney parks ever. And so if you were ever to rank the top 5 foods across all Disney parks, this one would make it for sure, 100%. And that is the breakfast Ronto wrap over at Ronto's Roasters, which is back in the dead center of the Black Spire Outpost over at Galaxy's Edge in Star Wars Land. So when you go back there, it's you have the center area with some of the shops. It's right at the end of that in the big circle is you have Ronto's Roasters, and they have a breakfast wrap and they have a mealtime wrap, like a lunch and dinner type wrap. We recommend go early and go get your breakfast wrap because that one is much better than the regular meal wrap. And the reason is they use a different sauce on it. It's got eggs on it. It's got the long sausage in there, and it is just really good, very flavorful. And trust me when I say everybody will want their own. So the breakfast Ronto wrap, they're not very expensive. I think they're like $7 or $8. So go pick up a Ronto wrap as soon as you get into the park. Most people, if you listen to our rope drop strategy for Hollywood Studios, are going to head back to Galaxy's Edge anyways and go for Rise of the Resistance first thing in the morning, which is what I recommend doing. If you do it at rope drop and you get in there right away, your wait time's probably going to be about 30 to 40 minutes. And the park, I believe, opens close to 9 a.m. So about that time you're coming off the ride, it's about 9:40, maybe getting closer to 10 o'clock. It is the perfect time. Go over and get the breakfast Ronto wrap at Ronto's Roasters. And trust me when I say you're going to love it, and so will your entire family. That is our number one food item in the park. Let's go to the top 5 snacks now in the park. And today, ironically, they are all sweets. So sometimes I try to get a little bit of savory in there. I wasn't able to do so today. They are all sweet. But number 5 on our list is actually a treat that we talked about over at California Adventure. And it's one that my wife made me put at number 5 because it's something she doesn't enjoy at all. But that is the blue milk or green milk found over at Galaxy's Edge at the Black Spire Outpost. These are 2 quick, refreshing treats. I actually like both of them. The blue milk is going to be more of your berry Skittle type flavor. The green milk is going to be more of a lemon lime type Skittle flavor. They're both very sweet, but they're really unique treats to the Galaxy's Edge part of the park. It's a drink that you can't really get anywhere else out at any of the other parks. So that's why we think it's a lot of fun. My daughter and I love to go get the blue milk or the green milk while we're over at Hollywood Studios. We think that this is a really good treat. It's a quick treat and it's refreshing. So I definitely recommend when you're over at Galaxy's Edge, do check out the blue milk and green milk, but do know that we made it number 5 because it's not everyone's favorite. Number 4 on my list is a cookie that I actually tried for the first time on my last visit over to Hollywood Studios. And that's over at the Backlot Express. And that is the Wookiee cookie. And if you have never heard of a Wookiee cookie, it is actually 2 cookies. It's 2 large oatmeal cookies that have a Bavarian cream filling in the middle between them with a little piece of chocolate across the top that looks like Chewbacca's sash that he wears with all of his equipment in Star Wars. Now, the Wookiee cookie is very sweet. It is very good. It's large enough you can definitely share that with multiple other people. But I will say it's good, but it didn't knock my socks off. So if you're really looking for sweets in the park, we've got some other items higher on the list. It is still good. It is very nostalgic being part of Star Wars. And ironically, it's not found back in the Black Spire Outpost. You're actually going to find that at the Backlot Express, like I was saying, which is behind Star Tours and the large AT-AT. So it's in that same general area, but it's a great treat to share with a lot of people if you do like oatmeal cookies and you do like them with cream filling in the middle. So it's a really good cookie, but there's other things that are better on the list in my opinion. It's definitely a fun treat though to have with your family, which takes me to the number 3 treat on our list. And that is one that we also talked about over at California Adventure. And that is Jack Jack's Num Num Cookie. And this is a warm chocolate chip cookie. It is found behind, it's been a weird spot. It's directly behind Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, almost to the entrance of Toy Story Land. There's a little stand out there by the bathrooms. It says Market across the front, and that's where you can find Jack Jack's Num Num Cookie. This cookie is a large, warm, soft chocolate chip cookie. It is very sweet, but what I love about it, it is a soft cookie. It is a very good cookie. Between the two, I definitely prefer Jack Jack's Num Num Cookie over the Wookiee cookie. It's being chocolate chip and a soft, large style cookie. It's just a much better cookie, and it's great to share as well if you don't want to consume the entire thing. So between the two, that's the way that we're going to go pretty much every single time, but they're both good. So definitely I would recommend try them both out. Number 2 on our list is something that's so good. It's very sweet, but it will fill you up. So I will warn you about that right now. You will not be hungry after you have this snack. And that is the funnel cakes that are located over by the Indiana Jones Stuntacular show. So Indiana Jones has a really cool stunt show. If you've not seen it, it's a lot of fun. It's about 20 minutes long. They do some really cool acting and show you some cool things that are all from Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I would encourage you, if you've not shown your family or your kids Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's a good movie to watch before you go because they're going to get to see some live action Indiana Jones at Hollywood Studios. It is a little intense for the little kids, so I would definitely say this is more for your teens, meaning the movie. The stunt show's for everybody, so go check that out. But right next to it, right next to the entrance, they have a stand where they do funnel cakes. And these funnel cakes are huge. They're very thick. They're very large. They do cookies and cream. They do strawberries and cream funnel cakes, and they're all phenomenal. So I would definitely encourage you to go try those, go check those out. That is our favorite funnel cake out of all of the parks. There are some really cool ones at Magic Kingdom, but I think that these ones take the cake, and they have better flavors here over at the Funnel Cakes by Indiana Jones. So that's our number 2 treat in the park, which leads me to our number 1 snack in the park. And we're going to go back into Toy Story Land and back to Woody's Lunchbox, and that is the box tarts. If you've not had a box tart, they're basically a really large Pop-Tart, but they're very different from a Pop-Tart in the sense that they're very soft, and they do have changing flavors. Now, they always have a raspberry one that's usually always available. That one's my favorite. It's really good, really sweet, but it's got a really good ratio of the filling and the frosting to the cake part of the box tart. But they have seasonal ones that come and go all the time. We were just there in October, and when we were there, they had a pumpkin spice one that was really good. So you want to go check out what's the seasonal box tart. Try that out. We've had a lemon blueberry one in the past. We've tried all kinds of different ones. They are really good, and they're only a few dollars. So it's a really good opportunity to go buy maybe a couple of them, share them with your family, and everybody gets to try a little bit something different. But the box tarts are totally worth it, and that's why they're our number 1 snack over at Hollywood Studios. So there you have it. We've talked about our top 5 restaurants, our top 5 meals and food items, and our top 5 snacks. Like I said, we covered most of the park because there's not a lot more other than what I've explained here. So this is a great list for you to reference or a great podcast to listen to right before you go to Hollywood Studios, because you're not going to have a lot of other selections. Of course, there's ice cream and coffee and some other fun things in the park and some other stands, but these, of course, are your top foods in the park. With that, let's jump right in, though, to our I Can Do This All Day tip of the day, and that is our friends over at Mouse Dining. Now, if you've listened to our other episodes, you've heard me talk about Mouse Dining before. I highly recommend Mouse Dining, and the reason I recommend it, especially in Orlando, is because the reservations at these restaurants go very, very fast. If you are not up at the crack of dawn early in the morning, 60 days out to get your reservations, you may not get a reservation at the restaurant you want to. So if you don't fret. What I want you to do is go into our links, and you're going to find the link for Mouse Dining, and you're going to go click through, and you're going to sign up with them. And what Mouse Dining will do for you is you're going to tell them what day you're going to the park and what reservations you're looking for. And every time that reservation becomes available on that day for that mealtime, because you do select by mealtime, they are going to send you a text message saying, hey, there's a reservation for your party size available now at that restaurant. I do recommend as soon as you get the text, you're going to want to click in as quickly as possible to secure that reservation, because they usually go away in about 10 seconds. And that's because a lot of people are using a service like Mouse Dining. However, here's the catch. Here's where Mouse Dining gets really good. When you get closer to your date, if you still don't have your reservation, don't sweat it. The reason is the day before you go to the park is the time that the other people that have reservations have to cancel in order to avoid being charged. So the day before you go, you're going to start seeing the text come through maybe 5 or 10 times that day, and you're going to have 5 or 10 attempts to get it. So keep your phone handy, click in as quick as you can, get that reservation and secure it. And Mouse Dining is going to help you do that. We do recommend signing up for one of their plans. That way you can get multiple text alerts for multiple parks on multiple days. And that way you can secure all the reservations you're looking for. But also know at the end of the day at Hollywood Studios, if you don't get it, don't fret. Like I said, all of our best foods are all at quick service. And I'm going to tell you to use mobile ordering if that happens. You're going to get some great foods at some great restaurants. Just go pick out of those 5 things and enjoy yourself. Or if you want the Italian, go over to Pizza Rizzo. That's quick service as well. And the food there is fantastic too. But go check out Mouse Dining if you're finding it difficult to get the reservations you want, and they'll get you taken care of. With that, we hope you have a great day, have a magical vacation, and we will talk to you next time.